Hey guys, I just wanted to jump on real quick and talk about something that I think is relevant right now, given everything that's going on in the world. Um, as a doctor of acupuncture, our theory provides a template for the order of the universe, and these patterns show up in emotional states, in physical states, but also can be used to describe societal phenomenon as well. So we're going to have a little lesson today in the five phases. So if you've seen any other of my information or courses, you know that there's two constructive beneficial cycles of the five phases. There's the generating cycle that goes along in a circle connecting the phases together. So metal generates water, in the way that a mountain spring generates the freshest, most mineralized, best tasting water. Water generates wood, as water is the foundation of life. When we add it to seeds, plant life grows. Wood generates fire, right? So as the wood or the plants complete their life cycle, and we can use the remains as fuel for fire. Fire generates earth. The result of a fire is ash. After all that wood, charcoal is burned, what we have left is ash, which adds nutrients back to create very rich organic soil capable of producing life, right? And then over time, that topsoil builds up over time and creates metal. Think of metal like a mountain filled with ore, right? So that's your generating cycle. Then your controlling cycle. Metal generates wood like an axe con- cuts down a tree. Wood controls earth in the way that planting vegetation in the soil is a method for preventing erosion, right? The roots of the plants provide a little bit of structure so the soil can stay in place. In the same way, the earth um, geography determines the path of a river. That's how earth controls the flow of water, acts like a vessel. And water controls fire, common sense, and fire controls metal. So if I take some fire and heat up the ore from the metal, what you get is some kind of molten substance that you can form into an axe to cut the tree down. So you see how that works? These are the two beneficial constructive cycles of energies. Now, these are phases. I don't like the word element. You may have heard it as five elements. I don't like that word for multiple reasons. One, five element is a style of acupuncture, and so I want to distinguish between the theory, which are the phases, and that style of practice, which is the element. Secondarily, though, these phases represent a flux in a type of energy, and it represents like a life cycle, right? Nothing is static. Everything is of everything else, where it's all a part of the same complete universe, right? So, what am I really going to be talking about here, right? Right now, what we're experiencing on a societal level, take it as far as you like. It's not just in the United States, but it's kind of across the world, is wood is out of balance. It is out of control right now. Everything in our modern society is feeding this wood. Um, it's out of control right now. Some of the associations for wood, the primary emotion for wood is anger, or I think a better term is activation energy. This is your sympathetic activation. So when we look at social media and algorithms, they are that rage baiting that happens that leads to the um, monetization of your social media algorithms, that rage baiting is feeding this wood phase energy. Um, Television programming that is purposefully rage baiting is feeding this wood energy. And so that's happening right now. The other thing that happens, there's a virtue associated with each one of these phases as well. And the virtue for wood is compassion. And so everything here is so out of balance. Not only do we have all this excess anger, but by default, when that um, emotion is out of balance, so is the virtue. So the compassion is lacking because there's too much anger. Now, the first physical effect this will have is it beats up on earth. So wood controls earth, like I said, right? The roots in the soil keeps the soil from um, eroding, right? But right now, with that wood being out of control, it's too strong. So it's almost choking the earth. It's weakening it to the point where it's not working anymore. So this is being so angry. So lately, if you felt like you're just sick to your stomach with just worry, the emotion of the earth phase is worry, overthinking, ruminating. Oh my goodness, what's happening? What's going to happen? But I can't. There's this theme of uncertainty, but your brain is trying to kind of work it out, um, which is a little bit of a pointless exercise because we can't. It's not to be worked out right now, but it causes that queasy, sick to your stomach feeling. It's causing everybody to be exhausted. It's causing bowel issues, diarrhea, upset stomach, all of these problems that are happening. So this pattern happens a lot. It's the first one I learned in acupuncture school. But the other piece of it that happens is wood being so out of control draws upon its mother, which is the water phase along the controlling cycle. So the water phase is the phase, as I mentioned earlier, water is life force. It is the phase responsible for bringing life forth into being. A seed won't germinate unless you add water to it, right? You can dry your seeds and leave them on the shelf. They're not going to germinate until they're exposed to at least humidity, but often it has to be water, right? Water phase is the phase of conception, and growth, reproduction. All the genetics we inherit from our parents come from the water phase. Water phase is responsible for giving you what you need to complete your life journey in the terms of birth, growth, flourishing, declining, and death. All of that has to do with water energy, right? For my fellow perimenopausal women, what we're losing is kidney yin, that the kidney belongs to the water phase. So all of these things. So what do we see in the West? Declining levels of reproduction. And it's not just financial, right? It's not just we can't afford to have kids, so we're making a choice. Even people who desperately want to have children cannot without some kind of serious medical assistance. So this wood being out of control is not only messing up our digestion, but um, it's messing with our fertility. In order to conceive a child, the woman has to feel safe, and the body has to know, hey, there's not 10,000 tigers running around out here. Has to feel safe. Can't do that if we're in that constant state of wood out of control, sympathetic activation. But here's a solution. If you look at the controlling cycle, metal controls wood. So this wood is out of control. So here I'm going to offer you a solution. which is the virtue, just as the compassion is the virtue, as compassion is the virtue for the wood face, which is all out of whack and nobody has any compassion anymore because the anger is out of control. The emotion for metal face is grief, but the virtue is integrity. So the solution to this anger being out of control is to grieve what we've lost, grieve for all of the upset that's happening in the world, but then also standing 10 toes down in your integrity. That's the solution. Hold your integrity. So a lot of folks need this lesson right now. So I just thought I would jump on and talk about the 5 phases and as a doctor of acupuncture, how we kind of, so there are physical aspects to all of this. That's where a lot of the source of our treatment comes from when you come to the office. But like I said, we can use this universal description for the energies of the universe and how they work and apply it to a person, apply it to a situation or, you know, a society. Take care.